Thank y'all so
And
much for coming.
unmuted as well. Yeah, great. All right, well, thank you everybody for coming along today to learn about the ArtSpark Individual Artist Grant. So I'm Anna Kojevnikov, I'm the Community Development Manager here at ACA. We have Gwen Richard, the Community Development Director, and we're also joined by Destin Ortega, who is the Executive Director over at Opportunity Machine, and you'll learn a little bit more about why he's here as well. So I guess we can... So yeah, we're here for the grant that is funded by LEDA and administered by us here at ACA. It's a partnership opportunity between the two of us, and we're very thankful to have them on board for this. I want to just quickly start with telling you a little bit about the history of ArtSpark. So it was started in 2014. It's been in existence for 9 years. This will be its 9th year. Gwen originally created this program because there was a lack of artist opportunities, individual artist opportunities here in Acadiana. Since its inception, we have distributed $327,500 and supported 78 artists. And because of this program, last year we were awarded an Excellence Award by the International Economic Development Council. So we have been recognized as a successful program on an international scale. So just to, this stuff is all available in the guidelines, but we'll just run through it very quickly before we get into the rest of it. The general eligibility for this is that you must reside within the 8-parish region of Acadiana. There has been some questions about what parishes that includes. There's a little bit of crossover in some places, but we go by the state standards. So on the Louisiana Division of the Arts breakup, you can see what regions we cover as Region 4. And that is Acadia, Evangeline, Iberia, Lafayette, St. Landry, St. Martin, St. Mary, and Vermilion. And this program was designed really for those who have limited opportunities. Take out of that what you will. It can mean so many different things. It is to expand your body of work as a professional individual artist. It is to create either new work, or we also accept professional development opportunities as part of that. We do have an outreach component that you will need to adhere to as well. It is funded by LEDA, the Lafayette Economic Development Authority. So there is we do look for how the projects that you're creating will help with your economic opportunities. And, at the end of the day, our mission here at ACA is to foster the arts and culture in Acadiana. So what we want to get out of this is we want to make sure that the artists in our region are getting the opportunities to be able to do that. So what does an individual artist mean? Because, there are so many different types of artists out there. It literally just means solo artist. The definition is a single applicant who creates and leads the proposed project and is singularly credited with the creation. So that means no collectives, no bands, no teams. But it does mean you can collaborate on stuff. One person is leading the project creation, but that person can engage somebody to work on their project with them, so they can pay them to do the work for them. But at the end of the day, it is a single person who will get credited for this grant. We are administering grants between $1,000 and $5,000. That doesn't necessarily mean that you will get the amount that you have requested. So, you have to be pretty, I think it's important to be very realistic with the amount of funds that you need to create your project, but also don't rely on the grant to be the single source of funding for your projects.
Just as an example, like last year, we had over $41,850 in requests. And we only had 27,500 to award out. So a lot of it is based on availability of funds. Well, much of it is for sure.
Yeah. And that is the same amount that we will be administering this year as well, $27,500. So what can the money that you receive be used for? It can be used for a bunch of different things. So as you can see, supplies, materials, equipment for the creation of the work of art. There is like a limit of $1,000 for supplies. Personnel, I think this is a really important one. And I think the panelists love to see that you're collaborating with people within the area in particular. And there is a max of 10% of the awarded amount to be used on marketing. But this year we've also introduced you can add a little bit extra to engage a professional photographer, because we want to be able to see nice images of the work that you've created. Yeah.
Is there a Q&A?
There will be opportunity for Q&A. Is it, you want to speak about? Sure.
So I'm a director of that film for various this year. I've been nominated in France, doing works in LA, and right now I'm hurrying to even enter festivals for the 2023 season to spread the film. It's already shot film. Could the professional development opportunities be trying to get the money to put into the film festivals internationally, or am I kind of
that's the tough one, and we should probably take that offline. So just to repeat the question, it was whether, for the people at home, is whether the funds could be used for international film festival entries. I think that we really need to be able to see the outcome of the funds that you're using. So, and I know what film festivals are like you could spend thousands of dollars on entering, but only maybe get into 2 festivals, like
7 or 8 right now.
Right.
So a lot of what LEDA is asking us to do as sponsors is to make sure that the money benefits and impacts this region.
It's a cultural piece that's getting.
Right. Well, I mean, and this is the thing, is like, there are so many different ways to spin a story. And like, if you can convince a panel that they should, fund this as a legitimate project, then maybe that is the case. But what I'm saying is that, like, you have to convince the panel, right? Well, we don't know yet. Yeah.
So these grants are not being reviewed by us.
And we never tell people who the panel is, because of this. We don't need people to be harassed about it.
We want to make sure that maybe possibility.
Well, yeah, I mean, and as I said, we should definitely take this offline, like, and see whether there are other ways, including that, to like talk about. Hey, Bree.
There's a question from the Zoom room over here. Is there a database of local personnel? Speaking of personnel.
Yes.
I'm trying to connect to others in the area and like we're on creative space and finding groups and people to connect with engagement.
Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, there is. And we can talk about that a little bit more as well. It's acadiana.culturalist.com. So there will be an opportunity to talk about that in a little bit too.
Yeah. Yeah, no problem. And definitely feel free to call Anna and I, like, we can have a deeper conversation about it. But primarily for professional development opportunities, many times what happens is an artist will go somewhere else, maybe to get training or something like that, then bring that training back in and it benefits the community. So I hear what you're saying. It's something that's beneficial because it is about local culture and what's here. I guess it would be very beneficial for you to look at the things that we will fund and the things we'll not fund and the guidelines. That helps too, to kind of narrow things down.
Right.
So there's like, are we taking the content?
Say that again.
Things we will,
Yes, it's like a list. It's
No,
still
it's not content related.
Mm-mm.
No, it's about,
the types of projects.
yeah.
Mhm.
So I feel
Yeah, it'll be that, but it'll be specific, like it won't fund for capital expenditures, like for new windows if you need it in your studio or something like. There's just a real small line of things. Mhm.
in general.
Right. Yeah, well, I feel like this is like a conversation that, you know, you need a lot of, you have a lot of questions about, so maybe we can take this offline and talk about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's great.
It's, yeah,
Because there's no question that's off limits, because others will benefit definitely from what you're saying in ways we don't know, people online or people here. So absolutely. And then we want you to benefit from, you know, the discussion. So, yeah.
yeah.
If, just chime in real quick
Mhm.
I mean, LEDA, Lafayette Economic Development Authority funds this. So, you know, while we can't talk about who's on the panel, we don't know yet, the panelists do have to approach it from not only from like an arts and culture component of it, but from a, how does it benefit the economy here? And so I would say, you know, if you can make the case with data and maybe about previous projects or, you know, similar projects, you know, about what the benefit could be of like maybe drawing in people, you know, from a tourist component of it or anything like that, then there's something to be said about that. But basically, you know, you're gonna have to make the case of like, this has an economic development impact outside of just like potentially promoting like art. But I mean, you can talk more to them about that, but I think I would, if I was in your case, I would approach it from that standpoint of like, okay.
It's the art, it's about reaching out.
Mhm.
Yes, definitely.
So
Yeah.
Thanks.
I would just think about it that way, any kind of like data statistics you have that can show like, this helps drive people here or their interest here or whatever, you know, like that kind of stuff.
Thank you. Yeah, so when we're talking about the creation of new works of art, what we're talking about is a bunch of different things. So it, you know, I have a small list, but you know, the opportunities are kind of endless. It could include a recording of some new music, a film, painting of a canvas, music videos, animations, a performance, something experimental, multidisciplinary, a book. And then when we're thinking about supplies for the creation, you could be thinking about the frames for the pieces of art that you've created, any tools that will help you with that, film stock, equipment, personnel, services, space rental, paint and paper. There is one thing that you should know about this grant, and that is that you can't pay yourself for any of the services. It is not, this grant is for the creation of new work and for you to get help making the new piece of work, but you cannot pay yourself out of this grant. So
I have an example for that too. We talked earlier about bands and groups and how this is an individual artist grant. So let's say there's an artist, a vocalist in the band that really would like to venture out and do something else a little different and separate. Then that vocalist can apply for his, her, or themselves, and then hire individuals to be the backup band for that. And so there's a way, like Anna said, to be creative around it. And you could even hire your own band, the band that you work with all the time if you want, but that band is not the applicant. The applicant is that one person. And then you can pay them, but you still can't pay yourself. If that makes any sense. The whole point is to help an artist, one individual artist, to advance themselves in their career as an artist, or to venture out into something different. So if you're always singing with the band and you just want to get some extra money, that's not going to work. But let's say you wanted to have an album on your own and do this very different from the normal genre that y'all are in. You want to do something totally different. That's a good one, because you're venturing out above and beyond what you normally do. And that goes for everything that you're doing. If it's something that you're normally doing, that's fine. If you're cultivating an art or craft or a project, but take it up a notch. You know, use this money, think of this money as seed money to give you an opportunity to go above and beyond what you typically normally do or can't possibly do.
Yeah, and I think also on that note, I mean, the fact that LEDA are funding this, I mean, what they want to see is that you're setting yourself up for economic opportunities. So this opportunity helps you then set yourself up for the next one.
Yeah, one more thing about the band thing. So all the money and the proceeds go to you. So of that album, let's say, the album, yes, everything goes, we don't take a cut of anything. You don't have to pay us back everything. If you're a photographer and you decide to do a book of your work, all the proceeds from that book goes to you and of course, whoever's publishing it for you, you know, but yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and you can also have a combination of both creating a new piece of work and a professional development opportunity. So you can think about ways in which to combine those. With professional development opportunities, they can be outside of Acadiana, but we do need to be able to have some way for you to show us what you got out of that professional development opportunity. So you need to have a plan of how you will be showcasing what you learned in your professional development opportunity. So I did also just want to quickly go over the types of projects that have been funded in the past 2 years. So these are last year's recipients. We have Kelly Jones up there in the left-hand corner. Last year, she created a e-zine with Valcour Records called The Coop, did a 12-month online publication where she presented a bunch of artists and events going on around Acadiana. In the middle at the top, we have Carrie Hamburg, who created an immersive installation as part of Atelier Zelenach's Halloween festival. Suzanne Wiltz in the top right corner is a poet and will be doing her final performance of works this coming Saturday. Marla K.
Krasicevich
did an eco installation, and then it was photographed by Christy Cornell and is currently being published as a book, a photo book. Malentina, aka Michelle Colon, in the middle there, did a music video. Paul Scheck-Snyder did a kids lit book. Philip Gould in the left bottom corner did aerial photography project, which is being published into a book, showcasing Acadiana's landscape from an aerial perspective. Kelly Rashad in the middle bottom did a series of illustrations about the Acadiana landscape that are currently dying out. And then Gillian Godshall, she did an animation documentary hybrid project. So it gives you an idea of the different types of projects that are available. And the year before, we had a film, we had a record recorded in Kurivini, which is a traditional Cajun language. There was a multidisciplinary performance, theater performance, a mini gallery, like a little library, went up down at the horse farm. So really, it's just about using your imagination and yeah, but chat to us before if you've got something that's a little bit different and you're not sure whether it fits in with, you know, the types of projects that we do. Just give us a call and we'll talk you through how to frame things as well.
Mhm. And Anna will be bringing binders of previous grant recipients, successful and unsuccessful. So at the group meetings that she's going to be doing, information sessions so that you can peruse through them. We ask you not to take pictures with it, with your phone and stuff, and try not to plagiarize, you know, but you can take notes all you want and, you know, to get an understanding of which types of projects were successful. And maybe there was some similar to what you're looking for.
Does that include, is there like a proposal they have to send in as a request?
It's an application. We have no letters of intent or anything like that. We have a straight up application. So that binder contains the applications of everyone that all of these people that she just talked about. And then maybe we have others from other years too, if you're interested in looking at it. And actually those are available upon request. Like if you have some extra time one day and you want to come downstairs, we will be happy to leave it downstairs for you. You can't take it out. Or like I said, take photos of it, but you're welcome to read through them and take as many notes as you want. It just gives you a good idea about what has happened, and these grantees that Anna just mentioned to give you more detail about what it is that they did that made them successful with their grant projects.
And so we're just going to pass it over to Destin to talk about how Opportunity Machine plays a part in all of your projects. And yeah, take it away.
So good evening. My name is Destin Artigo. I'm the executive director of Opportunity Machine. So Opportunity Machine is located downtown, right down the street, 314 Jefferson Street, across from Dwyer's. We are a business incubator with a primary focus on high growth startups. However, in this program, we offer basically the business portion of it and consultant services. And so since LEDA is funding it, part of it is, you know, helping you figure out how can you benefit from this and improve or increase your career or launch your career, artistry career if you're brand new to this, right? And so we do once you're approved for the grant, we then schedule one-on-one sessions with myself to review your project and kind of see from a business standpoint, where can we help you? And when it comes to specifically the projects, typically in the past, what I frequently see is like, I need help figuring out how to create like a marketing strategy for this or promotional strategy, like to, you know, get people to attend if it's an event or get people to buy the album. Or a lot of people also come in and say like, hey, I put together this community engagement component of it as a requirement of the application, and I'm not really sure how to execute that or like get people to attend that as well. And so there is a focus on the project itself, but what we're really there for is to look at, okay, from a professional artist component, what can we do to help you kind of get it set up for success and make that something where if you want it to be, it's your full-time job. Or if you're just like, this is a side thing and it's always going to be a side thing, that's great. But if we can help you from a standpoint, like I had somebody came in and their project for ArtSpark was just a side project, but they did have a professional career or were trying to aspire to have a professional career in arts, right? But it was more around like designing clothing and stuff like that. And so we help them with that as well. And so what we'll do is we set up a one-on-one meeting so I can understand your project, but then also what are your aspirations around your professional career and what do you feel your main needs are? Typically, we see a lot of people saying, I need help with marketing my stuff or kind of like, you know, setting up my brand, or I don't do a great job at tracking my expenses and that kind of stuff, you know, or maybe even I'm looking at contracting some people out and I want to make sure that I do it correctly. So maybe it's from a legal standpoint. And then I basically make recommendations to resources that are within the community, but also some that we offer. We offer a lot of mentorships. We have mentors that specialize in different things. And then we also work on, based on once I have a one-on-one meeting with everyone, I look at collectively the group has the most need for resource-wise, and then we try to schedule a group session where we bring in speakers to come in and talk about that. Some are existing professional artists who have not only been ArtSpark awardees in the past, but also currently do their artistry as their full-time job. And so they'll come in and talk about, well, this is how I engage with new clients, or this is how I structure all my stuff, or this is how I track all my stuff, or make sure that I'm making something that's profitable and sustainable for myself. So that way it's a little bit easier to like kind of connect with them on that business level. But then we'll also bring somebody in to talk about if the group overall needs like marketing help or accounting help or something like that. We'll have somebody come in and say like, this is how you structure your taxes correctly and that kind of stuff. And then we also have a number of resources. You basically become a member of the OM at standard level for free for an entire year. So from the time that you come in for your first initial meeting, a year starting on that date, you get signed up, you get access, 24/7 access to the facility, which is just an office space. So it's not exactly ideal for coming in and painting or making anything like that. But you can come use it to like have meetings or strategic planning sessions with a group of other people. We do have lots of whiteboards, which people love. And like I said, it's 24-hour facility. So mentorship, office space that you can utilize for a while. And then, like I said, we create some meetings and some one-on-one sessions that are specifically catered towards what your needs are based on your projects and your professional aspirations as well. And it's a requirement to go through to do the meetings with us and attend the sessions in order to get the last 25% of your funding. So.
Anyone have any questions for Destin? I'm gonna let him go.
How good are you at helping artists find people come up with a business plan when we're actually?
Okay. Yeah.
Question.
Sure. So she asked, how good am I at helping artists, mind, and people create a business plan that will actually work?
Or that to where people actually.
Oh, to where you will actually, got you. Yeah. So really that's a balancing act. So I do like to say that I do come from an artist background. I was a touring musician for a while, and my undergrad degree is actually in graphic design. So I definitely have an understanding of like, being an artist, but I also do know what it's like to work with a lot of artists who do not approach anything from a business standpoint. It's like herding cats in a hurricane is kind of what I like to use it as. So I have an understanding. However, I will say we treat us as consultants. We can help advise you on these are tools you can use, and this is how we suggest you structure it. Or if you're looking at creating a business plan or looking at your business model overall, here are all the major components that you need to account for and kind of what you should be thinking about. But ultimately, it's up to you to create that. I think that's also where it's a benefit to have existing artists locally who come in who do this, like this is their full-time gig. Because I think it also helps to speak to like, well, I find these tools from an artist perspective to be the easiest to use and like kind of fit into my, my habits, kind of help me stay motivated and things like that. So I think we do a pretty good job at it, but at the end of the day, it really depends on, do you want to do it? Do you want to succeed and kind of turn this into a career?
I think taking away that it's already overwhelming to take that.
Yes, absolutely.
Yourself can't either or you don't know what's next.
Yeah.
So by not taking away that business, put it in your pocket, I think that's something to move on.
Yeah, we help you figure out what you don't know, right? What you don't know, that's very scary and can really like be the main wall for most people. Yeah. And some people come in and they're just like, nah, I don't want to do all that. But no, we have worked with artists before, like Dirk Gidry, Hannah Gumbo, Francis Pavi, I love to mention Francis because he's like got into the textile space, right? So like he's taking a lot of his art doing that, you know, which I think is great. It really helped him like expand his reach and, you know, get more people appreciating his art.
There was also Corey Stewart, whose project was a film project, but you helped him in other ways.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's kind of talking about like, you come in and talk to me about your project, but you may have something else that you really want help with from a professional career standpoint. I even had an artist, I'm trying to remember who it was a few years ago. He was like, his normal everyday life was like an engineer or something like that, you know, like this is really just like a side project for him. And so we did have some conversations about like his career as an engineer. But like I said, it's really, we're just here to be, you know, a support system for you when it comes to being your own entrepreneur, like you just being your own business owner or being an entrepreneur. That's the resource we're here to provide.
Is this limited, is this Acadiana or is this only Lafayette Parish?
So we focus mainly on Lafayette Parish. But as long as you can come to us and you're within Acadiana, we'll provide support as well.
I mean,
Yeah.
the program is Acadiana wide, so the ArtSpark program is Acadiana wide, so they do service people who don't live in Acadiana. But as you said, you have to travel here for that.
Yeah, if you go through the program, then it's just like, yes, you get that resource. If you don't go through the ArtSpark program, but you still want help, you can still come and talk to us. We're structured as a 501c6, so we're a membership-based nonprofit. So if you didn't come through the program, then you would just apply for membership. And we, like I said, we do have a preference on Lafayette Parish, but Acadiana region is still service.
All right.
Other questions? No? Great. Yeah, thank you so much for attending. You know, really appreciate, always good to see a group full of creative minds, and this is a fantastic program and we love to work with the artists and group.
Small side, but I say I'll move to downtown. Do you have office space over there?
So we are not a standard like co-working space. We are a business incubator. And as part of that membership application, we look at what's your business idea or existing business and what are you trying to do? And, you know, kind of being tied into LEDA there, that's another thing we look at is like, what's the potential for quality jobs and job growth? What's your potential for creating something new and innovative? And potentially bringing in outside capital into the area. So that's why we do have a focus more on like high-tech, you know, growth startups.
I've already been through your.
Yeah, well, it's different, way different now than it's way different now. Yeah. I mean, it was back in the old space, it was a lot different. Now like all of our programming, we do like a cohort model. So if you're a new startup coming in, like we start our next one in February, you know, it's a structured group on that. And then we have for the lowest level, it's a standard level. It's kind of more of like a self-service, you know, standard, like we have a resource library, we have mentors that schedule office hours. So you can apply, but it's not like I want to come in and I want to request office space. It completely depends on what, you know, you're bringing to the community with the job, the business. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, like we work with, I actually had Roboto, who did the documentary on what's that? Yes, he was a member whenever he was working on this documentary for a little while. And so we do work with a number of different, you know, startups or companies.
Right now, as Sunset.
Okay.
I live in Lafayette.
Yeah.
And I have to kind of break off and have my own kind of side production studio within that. I was looking for Lafayette office.
Oh, yeah, no, we wouldn't be a good fit for that. But if you were looking for other resources, like access to mentorship or, you know, connections, or let's say you were trying to think of some creative ways to fundraise, you know, we can kind of consult on that. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, yeah, his contact details are above, so you can reach out to him anytime. So thank you so much, Justin.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you.
So we've got a few more slides to get through before we get to Q&As. So I did want to run through artistic disciplines because this is a question that comes up a lot. When we talk about artistic disciplines, it can cover a lot of ground. So what you see up on the screen is some of what we cover, but if you've got any questions about whether your project fits into what we do here, please just reach out and we'll help you with that.
Think of these as the categories and then there's subcategories underneath. So like dance, for example, then there's modern dance, jazz, you know, all these different categories underneath. Think of it like that.
So evaluation criteria. I did want to do a quick reminder. This is a competitive program. Just because you apply for it doesn't mean that you will get funded. It all depends on how many people apply, how much money we have to give out, how you score with the panelists. So the panelists will go through, give you scores, and then we'll rank those. But let's talk about how you do get evaluated. So we select a grant panel after we kind of assess what kind of projects we're getting in. We try to figure out the best mix of panelists who will have a bit of expertise in different areas. We want to make sure that we have a diverse panel to be able to assess any applications. They get about 2 weeks to read those grants, and then we all get together and do a day of discussions. They will produce the recommendations for the funding, and then it goes to the ACA board for approval. So to keep it fair, Gwen and I have no say in the way that your projects are assessed.
Right. That's why we can help you with your draft. We can be as honest with you and frank with you to help you because we know what the panelists are going to be looking for because they go through an orientation period with us. And keep in mind, the panelists are people that are from Acadiana, from the region, and they're artists, they're business professionals, they're people, our peers. So it's not like we will never say who they are in advance because we don't want them to be bombarded with, hey, what about my grant? You know, kind of thing. But to be fair.
The areas that they evaluate, the project and the budget is weighted at 40%. That includes things like the who, what, where, when, why, and how you're going to get the project done. The artistic merit at 40% looks at your career stage, at your biography, any work samples, your artist statement, and then the community outreach portion, which is the stuff that Destin was just talking about, but also the outreach pay it forward section.
Should we talk about that just a teeny bit?
I think there might be a slide about it, but yeah, let's. So community outreach, don't leave this to the, back burner. Have an idea in mind about what you want to do. This is in addition to the project. We want to see that that you are engaging with the community somehow for a minimum of 2 hours outside of the actual project. So the project is one thing, but then but you need to spend at least an extra 2 hours doing some outreach. That could include things like a public lecture, a workshop, a book signing, something where like it's on top of the project.
Related to the project, yeah.
Yeah. So
for a film effect, that happens.
That actually could be part of your project. That what Destin was talking about the impact and what we were talking about, how it would affect the community. That if you're going to take something away and then bring it back, that's actually a great conclusion to your project to have that impact. So an outreach might be to go to a school and or to a nursing home because you have people that are shut-ins and can't necessarily get out, and show them a clip of it and talk about your experience or show them the whole film. It would be something like that. But for a public opening, that's a really good culmination to a project like a film.
particularly for the professional development
Mhm.
stream of that.
Absolutely.
Can I ask, I'm on here, I've got the, it's premiering at this spot, am I gonna you think it's possible for me to still get into conversation on the project?
This grant goes from April 1st of this year to December 1st of this year. The timeline is incorporated in such a way that you can't incur any costs that we will reimburse before or after those dates. It is understood that not every project can be created within that time frame, and some things must take place before, but it cannot be funded through this particular project. You can still do a project and still incur costs on your own and pay for those things, but the costs related to the project would have to take place during that time. Plus, Anna was talking about a big. No, not prior to April 1st. This year
December 1st.
to December 1st of this year.
Yeah.
We know the time frame is very unusual. Sure.
So I would need to wait to their own festivals.
That's correct. Yes.
Mhm.
And on top of that, you know, their festivals.
Right, so they would not be eligible. That's correct.
For, yeah, you would have, honestly, it's a gamble because it's a competition. So there's no guarantee. Let's say you're right. So if you're betting on this being the funding source for you to complete, then that's not a good gamble because you have no idea. We have no idea, right? But if you're going to do it anyway, that's why so many, we have so many artists that say, you know, I'm doing this whether or not I'm funded. So then by all means proceed. But you also have to think about what part of April 1st to December 1st, what part of your project is in there. It has to be something significant, has to be something that will be the creation of new work or professional development opportunities or something that we can put our hands on that says there's a beginning, a middle, and an end to it.
Follow that down to the, like, I'll get it,
Mhm,
I would love to go out,
mhm.
you know, that-
This doesn't actually fund, this doesn't fund any travel or hospitality. So,
that's
yeah,
the question.
right.
So that's complicated.
Right, but I just want to point out that a lot of the questions that you're asking are in the guidelines. So I really do recommend reading the guidelines thoroughly to make just to make sure that what you've got in mind is in line with this. This program isn't going to be for everybody. So
Yeah.
I think the guidelines are a really good starting point.
Yeah, and you can just access them on our website
Right.
and then contact us and we'll be happy to talk
Yeah.
you through it one-on-one for sure. Yeah.
So let's move on to the requirements that you'll need to do. So these are the expectations that we would want from you when you're submitting the application form. We want to make sure that you're clearly identifying the project and the timeline. So what does that mean? It means this is where you would be putting the who, what, where, when, and why, and how you'll use those funds to bring this project to life. So just think about it in the way that, you know, each project has to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. So just make sure that you're figuring out what that timeline is. And don't forget that the timeline is between April 1st and December 1st. So all activities need to happen in that timeline. And also just in that section, in the narrative section, talk about how you think that this project will help you propel with your artistic pursuits. Like, how is this going to help you in your artistic career? So how will the funds be used? So, I mean, we've talked about this a lot, but in the narrative, make sure you tell us, a lot of projects cost more than the amount that you're asking for. There's a maximum of $5,000. A lot of projects cost a lot more than that. We do want to hear about the entire project, but specifically tell us what portion of your project is going to be paid for with this grant. Tell us about who you'll be working with to make this project. So the panelists, they do like to see that there are other financial contributors and in-kind contributors from the community. So make sure that you're identifying all of the collaborators that you're working with. Tell us about the stage of career that you're at. We do accept applications from all stages, but when you identify what stage you're at, obviously the panelists will take that into consideration when they're assessing your application. Your work samples, there's a couple of different ways to do your work samples, either through the Culturalist platform, which we'll move to in a second, or you can upload them into the form directly. Make sure that those work samples are relevant to the type of work that you are proposing for this project. They want to see that you're capable of doing something like this. So obviously the file formats will depend with those work samples and supplemental uploads, depending on what kind of work you're applying for. So obviously film, we want to see a video. For if you're doing a music project, we want to hear some of your work, photographs of any visual arts mediums. The outreach we just spoke about, but the demographics, the demographic section is optional, but it does actually help us assess where we need to put more efforts in the future. So if, we want to make sure that we're being, that we have equitable access to the programs that we run. So we want to make sure that if we are lacking in any certain area, that we're putting a little bit more effort into them. So please fill that section out if you can.
Missed what you said about supplemental uploads.
Oh, the supplemental uploads is, it's not a sample of your work, but it just gives us a little bit extra information about the type of project that you want to do. So it's, it could be an example of something that you want to do, a sketch of something, a letter of recommendation, an award that you've won, anything that is relevant, but not a work sample.
Not a work sample of what you're trying to propose to do, because mostly you haven't done it, right? So we're not expecting you to give us an example of what you're applying for unless you've done part of it and you're trying to boost it in some other way.
So Acadiana.culturalist, which is up here on the screen, is a database that you can upload a profile to. So this is a database that is all throughout Louisiana via each of the different regions. We administer the Acadiana one, and you can set up a profile, you can upload some of your work to it, and we do accept a profile link to your profile at acadiana.culturalist.com as an option for your work samples. The other benefits of this platform is that you can actually search a database of opportunities. You can see what other arts and cultural organizations are around in Acadiana. And recently they did an update to the platform, and you can also list events. So if you've got a showing, if you've got a performance, if you're doing a talk somewhere, you can list it on this platform as well. If you have any technical questions about it, come to me and I'll help you as best as I can. Real quick, the important dates. Draft review deadline, so is the 10th of February. So if you want us to read your draft, you need to get it to us 2 weeks before the actual deadline so that we have time to review it, give it back to you so that you have time to update any feedback that we've given you. The application deadline is February 24th at 5 p.m. We'll let you know whether you were successful in this grant or not sometime during the last week of March. And then obviously the funding cycle is April 1st to December 1st.
And a little something about the drafts. We will not write out our comments for the drafts because we don't want to be accused of writing your application. So if, for example, if you're sending us an application, we will review it and then we'll give you a call and then we'll have a conversation about it. Particularly because if, let's say you have a paragraph that's just really, it's intense and it's really good and it's strong, but it's missing a lot of things or there's a lot of errors. If we go back and type all that in an email, for example, to respond to, then now we're writing your grant. So we try not to do that, and we'll be mindful of, we'll send you maybe a note and just say, hey, when can we meet? And we can do it on the phone or in person if you like. Yes. Yes, yeah, on the phone or in person.
We do have some services that you can take advantage of, and I highly recommend that you do. Obviously, we just spoke about the draft review service. There is instructions on how to send us a draft on the website. There is a save link for the draft, and you can just email it to either me or Gwen or community@Acadiana Center, and both of us will get it. We also this year are implementing some group work sessions, either down in the cafe or in separate parts of Acadiana, so that we're making sure that we're all over the place. It's basically a couple of hours, a few times over the granting, the application process period, for you to sit down and work on your grants while we're there. We'll be there. You can write your grants. If you have any questions, you can ask us those questions in real time. We'll also be joined by some previous ArtSpark recipients. So if you have any questions for previous ArtSpark recipients, they'll be there to help you as well. This next slide just shows you where they are. So we have 4 here at the ACA Cafe, and then we're all over Acadiana for the others. The Opelousas one, thankfully, we have Jim and Christy here who will be hosting at Whirlybird. If you need the address for that, please contact me. What's that?
Said, come to our new art gallery.
Nice.
Excellent.
Nice.
So, yeah, if you need the address for that one, just contact me and I will provide that for you. All of this is available on the website as well. And if you can RSVP, please do so on the Facebook event, just so that we have an idea of numbers. We'll provide some like tea and coffee and some cookies, and let's talk at that. So we do have some proposal writing tips. They're pretty simple. Read the guidelines, use clear language, make sure that you're writing to an audience who knows nothing about you. Like, I know most of you in this room, but I'm not the one who's going to be reading it. I don't know who's going to be reading it. They might not know anything about you. So make sure that you're providing enough information for people to get a real sense of who you are and what you're trying to achieve. Double check the budget and make sure that the budget and the narrative and all of the providers of services forms all match up. There's, a real kind of make sure everything's consistent across all of those things, and just make sure you proofread. Get somebody else to read it for you. Make sure that it's not even about spelling. It's more about, does the other person understand what you're trying to achieve? Just ask them that.
Yeah, and by provider of services, we're talking about those band members that the individual artist is going to hire. Those are people providing services. Let's say you're doing a sculpture outside and you need a water feature, then you need a plumber. That's a provider of services. So it's anyone that you have to hire to make sure that your project takes place. Or if you're going to a professional development workshop, it would be that person that's conducting the workshop or the organization. So, and those things are in the application, it's in the guidelines. It's just, if you need clarity, a clarification, just let us know and we'll be happy to explain it.
And so just real quick, if you are successful, just some real quick points. This is taxable income, so you will need to fill out, we will provide you with a 1099. The first payment is 75%. When you receive the grant, we will give you 75% of that. The final 25% is on completion of the project. It is reimbursable, which means that you need to have spent that 25% to get it back. And when we're talking about receipts, they must all occur between April 1st and December 1st. We won't reimburse anything outside of that time frame. The compliance meeting that Gwen and I run is mandatory, as is one of the OM sessions, and then they have a few of the OM sessions, plus they have some optional things. I can't stress enough, track your payments, because it gets messy after 9 months of a project and you haven't been tracking your payments. It's really simple. I can provide a form for that. And it's just about putting down what it is, how it contributed, how much it was, and then tracking, making sure that it all adds up at the bottom. And keep us updated about your project. So let us know any milestones that you're having. Invite us to any events that you're throwing. Tag us in social media so that we can reshare it here. And I think the most important thing is we're here to help. So don't be afraid to contact us with questions throughout the grant cycle period, because the last thing we want to do is cause any undue stress and anxiety about this project. We're here to help you. We want to talk through options with you about how to make sure that you're completing things, including the application process. The last thing I just wanted to mention is Creative Acadiana, which is a program we run that has a lot of workshops and networking opportunities. You can follow along there. I don't want to go into it too much, but it's workshops, professional development, artist talks we'll be including in this next season. But that's enough talking from me. Who has any questions? We got a question over there.
Is there a lifetime award maximum?
A lifetime award maximum?
And people reapply?
Yes. So people can reapply. If you were awarded in 2022, you would be eligible again in 2025. So you have to skip 2 full cycles and then you can apply again on the 3rd year.
Yeah. And we have business cards on the back. You can just snatch that, so you don't have to jot down our contact information. It's right under the clock.
Yes, because I forgot to add. Oh no, here we go.
There
I
you
didn't
go.
forget to add it.
Yeah, so you don't have to worry about writing. You can just grab a card on the way out.
Yeah, there is a card, and there's some Creative Acadiana postcards as well to keep up to date with that stuff. But
We're really excited that y'all are here.
yeah,
Just that's the first step. And don't be discouraged too. Like Anna said, we're here to talk and to help you through the process. We want you to be successful. So we're going to do everything in our power to help you through each process. And we've had people who have worked at this and didn't get it the first time for whatever reason, but they came back and were successful another time. So
one of those is like a very well-known artist. I'm sure everybody. I think it's a good story because he's very successful now. But Dirk Guidry applied 3 times before he received the grant, and it was because over that period he learned different techniques every time he applied for it. That contributed to his success with the grant.
And we're not telling you anything that he wouldn't say. We actually did an interview with him and he gave details that aired on AOC for a long time. He said the first time he didn't come to the workshop, and the second time when he came, he was like, oh, okay, this is no big deal. And then by the 3rd time, he's like, wait a minute, I'm coming, I'm with my notebook. And he started taking notes and going through the whole motion, and he consulted with us, and it really didn't make a big difference. So he makes me smile every time I hear him tell the story. He tells it over and over again.
Yeah, and I think another really important thing is just to say that just because the panelists may not connect with the project that you're trying to do, it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with your project. It's just, it's a difference of opinion, and the panelists change every year. So it's not the end of the road. There's so many other opportunities. And we're not just here for you to apply for grants through us. We're here to guide you on other grant opportunities as well. So if there is anything else that you're thinking about, please reach out.
Very related question to the scope 2 cycle. So hypothetically, so if you wanted to use someone who got a 2022 ArtSpark grant as a provider to start with, is that okay?
Not a problem.
Yeah, you can use whoever you want.
Yeah, so the question for online is, can you use a recent ArtSpark recipient as a provider of service? And the answer is yes, because they're not the recipient of an ArtSpark grant, they're a provider of service.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And surprisingly enough, you can even use family members. It's just, that's the way it goes, because this grant has, we have so many artists, and we had Dr. Sincere, whose son and daughter were, one was an actress and a singer, and they did all these different things, and they actually were very highly involved in his project. It was his project, but he was able to hire them to do what they do. And so you can definitely do that. Just make sure that they're very highly qualified to do that. And when you're putting in your supplementals, put in their resumes or their CVs and some samples of their work, so you can show that it's not that you're just trying to give your son a little extra money on the side, you know. You really have friends and family. We have family groups sometimes, really, around here. That's a lot. That's very popular. Y'all have been great. Any closing remarks or anything different than what we talked about?
Any specific project questions?
All right. Well, thank y'all so much. This has been awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks to Bree for
you.
managing.
Yes,
switching
Bree
things.
Sargent, our Arts and Education Director. Yes, I didn't take a photo of people going in.
Oh, too late now.
No, too late now. Look, just turn around. Yeah, just turn around for a second, y'all. There you go. Get in there, Andre. Well, you can't make me look sparse now. All right, all right. There you go, y'all. Look, turn up. There you go. All right, thank you. I kind of like that photo. It was more interesting than everybody just sitting down.
How are you? How did your exhibition go?
Mhm.
Oh my God. Is it still open?